I'm Dave D, and you're watching XP Team USA.
Hi guys, Aaron here. Now if you've got nothing else to do, and I mean nothing else to do, absolutely nothing else to do, why not pop over to YouTube and check out South Coast Detecting?
And I went over to show them.
Sorry, it's DJ.
I think this is what people need, or a toy shop. A little bit cooler, that's the situation. I think the whatever you actually been involved with.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. How are you all this evening? Very well, I hope. It's Thursday, it's 8 o'clock, and, well, it's 5 past, and it's the Big Metal Detecting Podcast. No, it's not. It's the Big Metal Detecting TV show, and it'll go up on radio tomorrow via an audio file. I'll remember all these things one day. Hope you're all well, ladies and gentlemen. Busy week. I decided to clean out the shed, and now there's no room in my car. My car is a skip until the tip opens. Doing all sorts of stupid things like that I've been promising to do for years. And they're done. I've only got 1 or 2 more things to do, and that's it. So, there you go. I was just waiting for a drink to be delivered because I've got to bring one in with me. Anyway, on to the weekly news, shall we? Had a friendly heads up from Google Chrome then for some reason. But first up this week, let's accept that, is this article. A dad's life was ruined as coin-stealing thugs still at large after cruel house raid. Richard Bird was knocked out and tied up in his former home last year. And as you can see, a lot of 50 pence is in there. 50 pence gold set worth £10,000. So this took place in Coulter's Court off Albert Avenue in... where are we? Hull. So obviously he's still suffering from PTSD and he has nightmares. If anybody does have any, well, you can see there what's happened. There's the safe, there's the empty box. Anybody does have any information, please contact the Hull police, I would presume. Second up, we had a busy week this week. Mr. Adam Staples and Mark Betcher work for Historica, as you know, which is an auction arm of an auction company called Hanson's based in the Derby area. And this week they had a live sale which we shared via the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine. And I was astounded at some of the things that I was seeing. I've never seen anything. And then it went to the other end where 30 musket balls sold for £40, things like that. It was a very, very good learning experience. And as you can see, a Cleethorpes teacher's Anglo-Saxon treasures sold for £30,000. Hundreds of objects sold as part of a collection included spearheads, brooches and beads. It went to a private bidder, and I believe it may have been a museum, although please don't quote me. Gordon Taylor was the man, and he discovered the artefacts which date back to 450 AD in 1962 after finding a piece of bone in Irby-on-Humber, north-east Lancashire. And if we just scroll through, there's his wife with a picture of him, and the skull as well. So there's that. On to the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine. Now, I just wanted to point out for anybody who is bored, we do have the ArcMD 2019 free PDF bundle, and we also have a separate one with the detectable spring detectable issues, which is in the PDF area. If you click on there, everything that we've done is available to download. All you need to do is click on the picture, and you're away. And, you know, we've got a lot of other things going on, celebrating VE Day, awesome metal detecting finds, a lot to do, the Lost Relics of the Knights Templar, which is a fantastic TV series on the History Channel. And also, this little beauty, looking to start metal detecting, take a look at a high-performance machine, so simple, it's called the Simplex. And I can't wait to try it. I've got one, and there it is. There's all the information available via LP. Please give that a look on the Archaeology and Metal Detecting website, which is www.arcmdmag.com, and you'll find all the information there. So, without further ado, shall we introduce our guest, Mr. Graeme Stokes. Oh, there he is. He's only little. There he is. He's bigger now. How are you, Graeme?
I'm all right, Dave. How are you, mate?
I'm okay. I made the mistake of spelling your name with a H the other day.
Oh, dear. I've put up with that for 40 years.
So I had to go and edit it. How's life on the front line?
It's all right, mate, yeah. We're used to it now, all the change that's happened. There was a lot of change fairly quickly. And for the first few weeks, there was a lot of adapting, changing things that we'd set up. And, yeah, we're used to it now. It just seems normal to have all the PPE gear on. And we're very fortunate where I work that we've got copious amounts of the equipment, so we're all right, yeah.
Just to let the viewers know, you're actually a nurse.
Yeah.
So obviously tonight's show, you created a video last week which went all around the place. We shared it ourselves. I was in full agreement with what you said, and you're a nurse. So can we just give the bullet points or just a brief say what you said in the video itself?
Yeah, well, obviously in lockdown, when I wasn't in work, I was at home and I was doing the usual things of being on the social media, metal detecting sites, all that sort of thing. And there was, I won't mention names because I'm not into that. There were certain well-known YouTubers, shall we say, and non-YouTubers that were on the Facebook groups saying that they were going out detecting. And all of the things that I saw was, well, it's okay, I'm going out on my own. I'm not going to be, I'm not going to catch the virus or spread the virus by touching a fence post in the middle of a field. But isolation, and my video, isolation is not just about the virus. It's about literally protecting the NHS. So, for example, the A&E that I work in, it's a children's A&E, and we see on a normal day about 130 kids, and at the moment we're seeing a maximum of 40. Some days we've only seen 25, and that's because the patients are isolated, and it's reflected the same in the adult hospital as well. They're seeing less and less patients. So what I was saying in my video was, it's not about spreading the virus. If you get in your car and drive to your permission, or you walk to your permission or whatever, you could have an accident. And therefore you're going to need an ambulance. That's an ambulance and 2 paramedics that are out of service then because you've gone detecting, and then you're going to end up being taken to the hospital, and you're taking up valuable resources and staff. We need to be focusing and concentrating on being staffed fully and have all the equipment for the patients that are coming in with COVID-19. It was quite well received. A few people didn't understand what I was saying, but I just had to give their opinion. In the end, I just went, right, I'll do a video and we'll see how we get on. And here I am.
No bruises and no blood.
Yeah.
Yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a great video on my personally how I feel entirely. There's suggestion that things might change in the coming days. We'll deal with that as it comes. This time next week we might be able to go out and play, but currently it's lockdown. I'd like to be out in the street tomorrow having a street party. I'd like the kids to be able to play with each other. It's not going to happen. We're going to be sat in the garden. We've got flags and we've got banners up. We're going to be sat in the garden with afternoon tea. Hopefully it'll be sunny. Pools in the garden. That's it. Talk to people over the garden wall. That's it.
It was like I said in my video. The stuff that we're looking for, the treasures and things that we're hoping to find when we do go out, has been in the ground for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and it's still going to be there in a few weeks or months' time when we can go out. I mean, if it's been in the news today that in Spain the death rate has increased, they've just relaxed their isolation, and as I say, the death rate increased due to not being isolated. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if on Sunday, when the announcement's made, if it's not relaxed as much as we'd all like. There's still people going into hospital. There's still people dying of this virus, and I just think that until we're 100% sure that we've got a handle on it, well, I'm dying to get out. I've got a new machine, and I'm dying to get out with it and try it out. And I use detecting for therapy, as I know a lot of people do, because working in an A&E can be stressful, and walking around the field all day, it's good for your own mental health. And I know people are suffering by not being able to go out, but it won't be much longer, hopefully.
I went to a medical appointment myself in Wilmslow, which is about a half-hour drive last week. And one thing I did notice is, obviously, a lot of people live in the towns. They've not got out to the country. They've not been able to go out and about. One thing I noticed was the height of the crop, which Dean Cooper in the comments has said as well. Crops are high. Grass hasn't been cut. I've only seen 1 or 2 fields that I normally see, which are, ready to do whatever they do. It is the bold, basically. But at the moment, everything's so high that it would be difficult to actually metal detect in them.
Yeah.
So,
and I do think as well, I mean, if the government announced on Sunday that they're going to relax the isolation rules, or whatever you want to call them, I'd strongly suggest that people don't, grab their detector and run out. Wait for an announcement from the NCMD. I know they're not like a regulating body as such, but we can't be having big gatherings, even gets together of 10, 20 people for a small rally or whatever. We can't be having that. If you've got your own permission, then fair enough. That I think that will be the first step, but definitely not having, these big gatherings like we normally have on a Sunday, especially around here.
Well, I mean, the NCMD, they have come in for a lot of scathing, but with all due respect, I've been privy to, their meetings. I've been to a few of the meetings, and people don't realise exactly what transpires behind the scenes. there's so much goes on. I mean, I know they're dealing with the sports. I can't remember the exact name, but the Sports Alliance.
Yeah.
And the Sports Alliance are a governing body, and they're basically asking their advice, which they basically pass on to ourselves as a advisory capacity. It's not they're not trying to. You will not do this. You will not do that. They aren't a governing body, but they're just advising in an advisory capacity.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a phone call maybe last week from Scotty B. I also had several emails as well asking me about, what are the NCMD going to do another announcement. So I contacted the NCMD and asked, and they came forward the next day with a new statement, an update basically, which again isn't, you will do this. It's basically an advisory. I've said basically far too many times tonight. It's basically an advisory for ourselves. And, at the end of the day, if we go out, if something occurs, we leave a gate open, the cows come out, we leave a hole, the cow breaks its leg, normally we would be insured. Now, would our insurance be valid currently, given the lockdown? Who knows?
And the thing is as well, I mean, I know all these things are the chances being slim, but for example, if you found the hoard, you've got to phone the archaeologists to come over, and it's not ideal when you're in lockdown for that sort of thing to be happening. What else was it? Yeah, I mean, on social media today, on Facebook, there was some comments made by one of the main people who's been spouting out that they'll be going detecting, and it got me thinking. So if you want to go on the River Thames mudlarking, you need the permit, which I think is roughly £80 or £90 for 3 years. And this might be quite controversial in the world of metal detecting, but if we had to have a detecting license, a detector license, I'd pay £30 a year for a license, and if it stopped, people breaking rules, the night hawking and all that sort of stuff. And, it's simple as, if you can't show your license to the authorities when you're out detecting, then, you get your gear taken off you. It's a controversial thing, but in a situation like now, it would work a treat to stop people going out detecting.
You said that about the permit, and it's not something that hasn't been raised on multiple occasions by officialdoms. We know the upper echelons, the archaeologists, etc., aren't great fans of Metal Detectorist, especially given the bad press. But, again, NCMD are there to go head-to-head with them to keep us doing what we're doing, keeping allowing us to go metal detecting. You never know. Given what's happened currently and the potential of the future, you never know, something might change and it might end up being a permit system. And we don't know if we're going to have to actually... I know there was a gentleman who was trying to push for licenses and also trying to push for you to actually go on an archaeological course before you were actually allowed to have the metal detecting license. So it's a difficult one.
It's a big can of worms, that one, mate.
It is.
Isn't it?
I mean, there's been a load of people, say, "Oh, I've got a big field at the back of my garden. I'm all right." If you've got a big field at the back of your garden, I can't see the issue.
Yeah,
it's at the back of your garden. If you're going to stray for miles and miles, there's no issue. But it's. I'm sure we got Pete Terrell in the chat room. I'm sure Pete, Regton's, Joe and Allen, Crawford's, etc., are all at the moment seeing a massive drop in sales because of the COVID virus and because of the potential of banking issues. There's potential that this may end up with people having no money to go out and buy anything in the near future. So we just have to take it as it is. We just have to continue with the lockdown, continue with the process, And when all said and done, and we're given the permission from the government or the advice from the government to allow us potentially additional time to go exercising, then it looks at it again. Then the Sports Alliance looks at things again, and then the NCMD can disseminate the information and cascade it down to ourselves.
Yeah. How's your exercise going, Dave?
My exercise? I did lose a phenomenal amount of weight when I was struck down by COVID-19.
Yeah.
I think I've put it back on. I've started doing press-ups. I don't even know what a press-up is. I did start trying to do yoga, but it wasn't yogurt, so it didn't work for me. The positions they were trying to get in, I couldn't do. But yeah.
Well, you got to stick at it, mate. You got to stick at.
I've got a
yoga
book somewhere. Can't see where it is. Basically, when I go to the chronic pain management clinic, I had to go to a physio course, and the physio course gave me a booklet with multiple exercises that you could do around the house. I've been trying to do it, but mindset, when you go on a bit of a downer, I find myself sitting in the corner and watching telly for 15 hours and not moving.
Yeah.
So it's difficult. Take the dog for a walk. I actually sorted the shed out today, got all the bikes out, the 2 kids and my wife's, got them all sorted, greased, pumped up, everything sorted. So I'm planning on attempting to use a bike tomorrow. Yes, me on a bike.
Go
no
for it,
photographs,
mate.
They won't be happening, but potentially I will be on a bike tomorrow. Anyway, Graeme, moving on. You said a moment ago that you have a new machine.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So, when I started detecting about 4 years ago, and I had a Garrett 150 to start off with that someone gave me, and I was hooked instantly. So I've had a few machines. I've got 2 new ones. One is a Nocta Macro Simplex, which I've had one go of just before lockdown, and incredible depth on it. Very, very, very impressed with it. And then I had a rather special birthday recently, and ended up getting the Deus, which has been the machine that I've been looking to get since I started detecting. So I've gone from the ORX, which I had recently, which I've sold, to the Deus. So yeah, I can't wait to get out with it.
Getting all excited.
Yes, mate.
Is it the full kit?
Yeah, full Deus. I've gone for the X35 11-inch coil. However, I'll probably pick up a 9-inch HF coil as well in the future, because that's what I had on my ORX, and that 9-inch HF coil is incredible, really, really incredible. But the Simplex, I mean, I'm going to be trying to get out as much as I can as soon as we're allowed to, and the Simplex I found really, really good. I literally only went out for a couple of hours with it. Amazed by the depth that you could get with that, and two impressive companies. Well, in fact, no, I'm going to say there's 3 impressive companies in my opinion. Garrett, because I've had a few Garretts when I first started, the 150, the Euro Ace, and the AT Pro, and they were fantastic. So I'm looking forward to seeing what their new machine's going to be like. Nocta Macro, their Simplex, and what they do, the customer service seems phenomenal with Dilek and her team. And XP, I mean, all good brands. We're spoilt at the moment with a plethora of new machines that are out there, and good quality machines.
We certainly are. I'm just looking on the Garrett website, and the new machine, the Apex, is being released, or basically the information about it is being released next Friday the 15th So it's 11 a.m. American time. So we will be streaming that live on the Archaeology Metal Detecting magazine site and the Big Metal Detecting podcast site as well. So I think everyone's looking for that. Something that you might be interested in, and I think everybody reading this, watching this, will be interested in. I've already signed up for this. There's a free course, which has been put out by Dig Ventures. Now, Dig Ventures are basically a private company that do archaeology. They've got projects all over the place. And basically, this course starts on June the 1st, and it's how to do archaeology. I did mention it last week. It's a 6 weeks course. Each week we'll get an email prompting us to start a new chapter online, and all the content to be accessible until the 31st. So basically, you've got 2 months to do it. Video on. If you go on the Dim Ventures website, you look into courses, scroll down, and you'll see the how to do archaeology course. But as you can see as well, you can do it on your phone, you can do it on your pad, and you'll learn about excavations, what happens during them, what happens when the dig's finished, etc., etc. And I think this is very, very much an important course, which is available for free, which I'm sure will help everybody. In fact, first and foremost, Sky, if you're watching and you're not doing your schoolwork, get on there and get signed up for that course. That's me and Luke telling you that. Tony Kaywood's already signed up himself. Next week's guest, of course. John Rigby from the NCMD. We, as you know, have written to the DCMS, which is the Sports Alliance that I don't know the abbreviation for, about the ban on the hobby and sports activities, and they're still awaiting an answer. So, obviously, I'm sure that will get a little bit more busy in the coming weeks when things start to get better. I'm not sure, Dean Cooper, if you get a certificate. I'm pretty sure you'd get something to say you've done the course. But, hey, it's a free course for archaeology, and we're metal detectorists. What more could help? And I'm sure we'd learn so much from when we dig a hole and we think, oh, something mad's going on in here, to be able to appreciate the archaeology and the stratigraphy, all them words. And it's a, again, somebody, MS Detectorist, has just said, having that course under your belt would be useful for future permissions. Definitely. Who wouldn't want to go to a permission and say, I've got this certificate in archaeology from Dig Ventures, who are a well-known entity. So get on it, people, especially you, Sky. There you go. How long have you been metal detecting, did you say?
About 4 years.
And I take it in that time you've been on some fantabulous digs.
Yeah. The thing, there's many things that I love about detecting. One of them is the people that you meet, and detecting was something that it was like an itch that I'd wanted to scratch for many years, and I just managed to get hold of a Garrett 150 a few years back, and I went on my first dig. It was a group dig in West Sussex, and I've got it here actually. I was there. I had my Garrett 150 with a little pair of wired headphones, a spade, finds pouch, and that was it. And I'd found a horseshoe and a few other bits of scrap. And then something came up, and I thought, oh, that looks like something. Didn't have a clue what it was. And this chap in his tweed coat and flat cap turned out to be Luke Higgins. Asked me if I'd found anything. I said, well, I'm not sure. And I shown him this. I don't know if you can see it. And it's pretty obvious now, and probably to all the people watching at home what it is. But that was like, I swear to God, that was the third hole I ever dug detecting. It was at Fibula. And I was addicted from then. And I got rid of the 150 quite quickly. And moved on to, what did I get then? The Garrett Euro Ace, which is a really underrated machine, Dave. It's got a really good depth on it with that double D coil. And I really like that machine, but I upgraded to the AT Pro. And joined the local club, going out with Luke Higgins, Niall, Kev, Jamie, all them. And what have I got here that might be of interest to people?
I know you're big friends with Jamie and Kev. Is that via metal detecting? Or did you know?
Yes, it is, yeah. Yeah, from detecting. They did a dig, I think it must be about three years ago, maybe now. One of their mates, unfortunately, had an accident on the way home from his permission, and he was killed in a road traffic accident. And Kev and Jamie did a charity dig.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
On this chap's permission. And I did the first aid for them for that, and that's how we got to know each other, and we've been good mates ever since, going to digs, detectable, that sort of thing. And we actually...
I'm seeing you at detectable, and then all of a sudden I went for me saddle bone off Nige, and there the three of you were drinking.
Well, the first time I met you, Dave, was detectable. I went along with Luke, and I think we'd only met like 5 minutes, and we were straight into a pub, and it was only about 10:30 in the morning, and we were on the beer. So, I thought we'll get on quite well, me and Dave.
Yeah, that was in Burslow.
What's it called?
Whenever detectable is, I can't remember the name of it now.
Burford.
Burford. Off 10, straight to pub. You're serving, 3 pints, please.
But that dig that Jamie and Kev did, they raised a lot of money for this lad's young son in a trust fund. And there's loads and loads of really, really good finds come out of there. Posy rings and, all sorts of amazing artifacts and finds. And where we'd all parked, there must have been about 200, 300 people there. And where all the cars had parked was in a field. And me, Kev, and Jamie went back. We've been back quite a few times. And where all the cars had been parked, we found loads of hammies. And I actually had my first hammy, which is here. It's quite a biggie. I don't know if you can see it very well. That was my first hammy, and I found that there. But I was talking to someone about favourite finds. And in that area, me, Jamie, Kev, a few others had been over that bit of land loads and loads and loads of times. And I was with Kev one day, and the land had been ploughed, apart from this area, because that was pasture. And I was knackered at going over the plough, because it was quite a deep plough. And I went back up to where we were getting the hammies onto the pasture, and I found this. Don't know if you... Can you see that? It's like a...
Yeah.
Hot. So that's my oldest find, I think. That's an Iron Age lynch pin off a chariot.
Wow. That's awesome.
And it was literally 3 inches down. That's definitely one of my most favourite finds, that is. And then, I mainly go out with other people. I've just got a new permission not far from home, but I haven't been able to get there yet. And I do have a small permission just up the road, but obviously not going at the moment. But yeah, I do like being out with the club. It's a good club, nice people.
I've met quite a few of the people who go on Luke's digs, obviously, Rodney Cup Memorial, Detectable, and every one of them's sound as a pound. Last year's Detectable, I met Niall for the first time. He obviously with his van, and it had a great time, hilarious. Obviously, I forgot the names. The two ladies, Lynn and Marchant, the one who makes the real ale.
Oh, Yvonne and Linda.
Yvonne and Linda got there. Lovely, absolutely lovely. Yourself, obviously, Kev Marchese, Jamie. Yeah, great little club, that. Fantastic.
But we all know these names that we see on Facebook quite regularly. You know, all the usual people from across the country. And I mean, like Scotty B, he's up in Newcastle, and I'm on the south coast. And you know, we met up at Detectable, and that is a good lad, the doppelganger of Warwick Davis. You know.
Yeah, you're right again. You know, Scott and Kimmy, I met them for the first time.
Yeah.
Tony Kay would have met for the first time. Richard Lincoln, I met at the Rodney Cook Memorial. Gary Cook, Gary Blackwell, Pete Terrell, all these people that you see on Facebook, Julian Evanhart, Dan Spencer, you know, all of these people, you just see names and be able to put a name to a face and have a one-to-one conversation.
And that's a good thing, Dave, is that 99.9% of the people in the hobby are like the people we're talking about now. And the reason I'm on tonight was because I was talking about like that 1% that were being idiots, you know, and it's great that there are so many great people. I mean, even you mentioned Pete Terrell there, you know, Leisure Promotions, and Bregson's as well, and the others, they do amazing stuff. The amount of stuff that gets donated for charitable events. I mean, I did a charity event myself last year, and you know, the donations from Regson's, Leisure Promotions, Joan Allen, the Technics, Crawford, you know, who's the other one? Who's making the Evo 6000?
C-Scope.
The new C-Scope. They donated stuff to us, and you know, I've never been involved in a hobby whereby, you know, you can get a discount like we do at virtually every retailer. You know, they're all good people, and after sales care as well. You know, that sort of stuff. I had a call with someone the other day that I'd bought something off, and they said, you know, if you need any help or anything, just let me know. And it's like very personable.
Very, very. And you can sit and have a chat with each and every one of them, no problem.
And a beer.
So what other finds have you got for show and tell tonight, Graeme? Have you got by your side?
So I was talking about the 9-inch HF coil from XP before, and I'll show you. I don't know if you can see how small that is.
Wow.
There's detail on it. So that's a piece of silver with a bit of gold gilt still in it. And I found it on one of Luke's digs recently, just before lockdown. And Alex Bliss was there. He normally does all the finds at Detectable and other digs. And he told me straight away where it was. It was off a medieval brooch. And that was at about 7 inches down. It's tiny, you know. So that HF coil is really, really good bit of kit. And yeah, I'll probably buy another one of them soon.
You showed us, myself and Luke off there, another find.
I've got
which has been played with.
Yeah, so I've got this. Well, I'm not going to go into too much detail about the permission because it's not a farm. It's another area of recreation, shall we say, that I've got permission on. And this is a 1901 threepence, which just underneath Victoria, there's a little stone, and it was made to go on a little chain, I presume. Don't know if you can see that very clearly. It's a threepence. What else we got here? That's a cool find. Little toy cannon.
Do you know, I'd love to find one of them. I know obviously there's a lot of people that found them, but I won't say they're uncommon, but I'd love to find one of them.
That was with the Garrett 150, that was as well. It was a lucky little machine, that.
Anyway, what we're going to do, I'm just going to stop you there because we're going to have a break, mate, for 2 minutes. So you can go and get another can of beer or have a wee or something. So over to you, Luke, with the adverts, because I always forget.
I'm Dave D, and you're watching XP Team USA.
Hi guys, Aaron here. Now if you've got nothing else to do, and I mean nothing else to do, absolutely nothing else to do, why not pop over to YouTube and check out South Coast Detecting?
And I went over to show them.
Sorry, it's DJ.
I think this is what people, or toy shop, get a little bit too relaxed at the situation.
I think have you actually been involved with the whole thing?
Hello again, everybody. Bit of good news. Whilst I was, while we were in our adverts, I had a Facebook message from somebody I've been desperate to get onto the show for some time. Now, most of you won't know him. In fact, many of you may not know him at all. Most of you might not know him at all. His name on YouTube is Martin Zero, and his channel it's phenomenal. I was first not so much pointed out for me. I heard tales of a plug hole in Manchester Ship Canal in Manchester. So I had a Google, and up came Martin's video. The lock had been closed. It had been all drained to do some fixtures and fittings. He showed you exactly where it was, because there's something on the wall of the canal to show you where it is. And basically, they opened the plug hole. If they need the canal emptying, they open the plug hole, and there's a river which runs below, and all the water from the canal goes down the plug hole into the river and away. And I found that absolutely fascinating. But he's done a lot of cave exploration, mine exploration, etc., etc. And they are some of the best YouTube videos that I've personally seen. So have a look for Martin Zero on YouTube at some point, and he'll be our guest in 2 weeks. Next week's guest, as I mentioned earlier, is Mr. Tony Kaywood, and Tony and myself will be discussing research of our metal detecting sites, the best manner of which to look at them. Tony will be giving complete access to the screen share. So Tony will be going through radar maps, genealogy, how to read the maps correctly, etc. And that'll be next week's show. So back to Graeme and his show and tell. Actually, one more thing before I go. There you are. Don't forget, Detecting Cartoon Book is out on Amazon. Search under books by David Donaghy. Excellent books, fantastic. Sorry, Graeme, back to yourself. And your show.
It's all right, mate. So I was just going to talk about what I've been up to during lockdown on my days off, and making people aware of something that they might not be aware of, and that is, at the moment, the National Archive is free online to download things, and it must be almost 10 years ago now, my dad, incidentally, is watching. Cheers, Dad. Have a pint with you soon, mate. He told me about a relative of ours. It was my dad's cousin, but I call him Great Uncle Arthur. Let's see if I can point him out. That's him there. So that's him with one of his crews during World War II. And I've got his logbook. He's quite he was obviously a special chap, as they all were. But he was killed in March 1943, and I'd already done a lot of research on some of the raids that he went on and that sort of thing, because he actually flew over nearly 1,300 hours of operational flying time in World War II, and I hadn't got the information about one of the squadrons that he was with. It was 102 Squadron, and at the moment, like I say, you can go onto the National Archive, and this is an example of some of the paperwork I've got. This is the operational record books for 102 Squadron while Arthur was with them. So I managed to download them all, print them out, and I've been cross-referencing them with the logbook. And I found all sorts of things. His citation in the London Gazette for he got the Distinguished Flying Medal, which my uncle is taking care of at the moment, and it's become a bit of a fascination for me from a historical point of view. And hopefully, when I've got everything together, I'll be able to write a book about him, because it's absolutely fascinating. And I'm also hoping that the base he was at, which is it's not there anymore. The airfield's still there, and a couple of the units, but it's a farm now. So I'm hoping to try and get over there at some point and get permission off the landowner. But they're quite difficult to get hold of, as we all know. But this one seems more difficult than most.
I'm pretty sure I heard an advert the other day saying ancestry.co.uk is also free until this coming Sunday, in relation to, obviously, it's VE Day tomorrow. But I've just been on there, and you've got a 14-day free trial on there anyway. So, again, lockdown, get on.
Yeah.
I've not.
Once you've done your hours exercise.
I've not been on the National Archives yet, but
Dave, it's really easy, mate. If I can do it, anyone can. I'm not too great when it comes to that sort of thing. But so talking of World War One, I found this on Brighton Beach.
What is it?
It's the end of I believe it to be World War One age, but it's the top of some sort of missile or something. It's got the timing device on it. But that was on Brighton Beach a couple of years back. It's a paperweight now. What else have we got here?
The only related find to the war that I've actually got is several Reichspfennig, which fascinate me greatly. A Nazi coin with Nazi emblems on them, and it turns up in a field in Shropshire. Well, mind you, there's so much that went on in Shropshire. The land that we were on wasn't far as the crow flies from RAF Shawbury, which is the helicopter training site. So I'm sure there may have been something going on in them parts. But even so, great to find.
Because of my association with Arthur, my relative, this is one of my favourite finds. It's literally just an RAF button.
I see, yeah.
But it's got the shank on it still, and that again is one of my favourite finds.
Nick West just put a comment on, Graeme. He said, "Come and join us in metal detecting war relics." His nice. Group, fascinating group. I didn't know about it until 2 weeks ago. I joined it straight away, and there are some fascinating World War discoveries in there. Absolutely brilliant, so many of them.
The man to talk to... Sorry, mate. The man to talk to on that is our old friend Julian Evan Hart from Treasure Hunting magazine. We had a long conversation at Detectable. His fascination is actually the German aircraft, and he's got an amazing story which I won't go through now. But next time you speak to him, ask him about the plane that they dug up and what happened. It's unbelievable.
Well, I think he's been on a few times, and we always end up talking about World War stuff, and absolutely fascinating. In fact, I went to him a couple of weeks ago now. I can, if Luke puts this over to myself, I could do show and tell. There's 2 bullets that I found metal detected in Audley near Crewe. And, oh, by the way, just to point out, Graeme, your Welshness keeps coming through as well. I could recognise it being from Ellesmere Port, but many other people can't.
Diolch yn fawr iawn.
And I bet you were gutted that, where are we now? Oh, Treasure Hunting Magazine. I bet you're a bit gutted about, I know you were going on all day originally when Spring Detectable was on, and hopefully,
Yeah.
because it's home for you, isn't it, really, where the site is?
Yeah. Well, where that dig was going to happen, my dad lives about 20 minutes down the road, so in a way, I'm happy that it's had to be postponed to a later date.
Luke, would you mind putting the camera onto my good self? Not for my face, for show and tell. I'd actually like somebody. I asked Julian, and he wasn't able to say exactly what they were, but I presume that they're both bullets. But, interestingly, both the ends are wooden. So, there'll be the first one. So it's...
Is it a brass casing?
I think so, yeah.
With a wooden
And
tip?
the other one, basically, exactly the same, but miniature version. The green screen and the green on here isn't doing very well. But if anybody has any idea what they are, I'd love to know. I found them. Somebody I know in work who's big into World War II and such like. He does a lot of dressing up and going out in his Jeep and whatnot. I showed him and he claims that they were bullets that were actually banned because they'd done more damage than a normal bullet would. So with the wooden tip, but I'm so uncertain. I would be clueless, but I'd love to know if anybody
Dave,
can help out there.
If you googled wooden bullet tip, have you tried googling it?
Right away.
Non-lethal weapons for crowd control.
Oh yeah. The actual. Let's just do this so people can see what we're talking about. We share the screen, and I can go onto Google, and people can see what I'm on about. So there's lots on there, but the tip of these is more rounded. These are obviously the projectile tips are long and thin, where these are more dumpy. But I'll have a look anyway. Continue to have a look. But yeah, I'd definitely say it's. In fact, I might get a Scotch Brite wheel on them tomorrow and clean them up a little bit and see what it looks like. Yeah, I've been watching far too much Find It, Flog It, Fix It as well.
Did you see?
Rob Random says it's a dum-dum bullet. A dum-dum, the bullet, not the host. Thank you very much. Dean Cooper says it's a training bullet or a cheap homemade bullet. Well, the other thing was that the landowner, it was a haul, and he claims when his father was young during the Second World War, some form of German aircraft was shooting at his granddad, but his granddad he missed, and he just carried on. So that's originally what we were thinking. Is it something from a Spitfire, or not Spitfire, a Messerschmitt or what have you? But hey, the search will continue. Back to yourself, Graeme. Any more shows and tells?
What have we got here? Just when we went to Detectable last year, and we didn't have much on the first day, and then within 10 minutes of the second day, the first hole was that piece of a fibula.
I remember that.
And then the second hole, literally about a foot away, is that fibula with the pin.
That's beautiful, that one.
And then I had a Roman... what was it? I had something else just after that as well. I can't remember what it was.
Do you know,
but,
that looked nice. Graham Dempsey's... What is it called? Preserve It wax. That would look lovely with the Preserve It wax on.
I'm always...
proper nice
people are talking about that stuff at the moment, and I'm always scared to... I don't know why. scared to put anything on them like that because I only, a little bit of water and a light brush, and that's normally it. But I'll look into it.
If I'm right in saying when something's pulled out of the ground because it's not been oxidised for so many years, it starts to deteriorate, i.e., bronze axe head, they'll have bronze disease. It'll rapidly, rapidly rot it unless it is preserved. So I would presume that the patina that comes out, some of the things that I've seen at Graham Dempsey's, the people who've brought his stuff off him is absolutely beautiful. The patina, the look, the cleanliness. Really, really stands out, and I've got some here. I've not been able to, obviously. I might eat. Well, I know what I'm going to do with them bullets.
Here, Dave. What's the funniest thing you've found detecting?
Ooh, vibrator. A vibrator. I was doing the hedgerow, and it came up just. Obviously, the beeps went off. Didn't have to dig very hard, but I was surprised to see a lady's pleasuring instrument. So yes, what about yourself?
Same. A chrome dildo on Brighton Beach, so I left it exactly where it was.
I did the same actually. I thought, I'm touching you. Well, I've got gloves on. I pulled it out, but I was no, get away. So, what inspires you, Graeme?
What inspires me? What inspires me? My job, probably. I've always tried to do the best in whatever I do, and I mean, I was in the Royal Navy from when I left school, and I think that's what sort of made me what I am today. And I just always want to do the best, no matter what I'm doing. So I get inspired by the patients that I see in work, the young kids. I couldn't work with adults because they're a pain in the arse. With the kids, 1 minute you can be thinking, this kid's in trouble. This could be a bad outcome, and then half an hour later they're playing in the playroom and they're fine. It's weird how amazing the children are. So you get inspired by them. Some of the stories that I could tell you, some days where I'm having a bit of a moan myself about something, I can't go out detecting or whatever, when in fact there's kids up in the hospital with cancer, and, nobody deserves cancer, but a kid definitely doesn't deserve cancer, and, they're having a tougher time than I am, sat at home having a beer, not being able to go detecting. So, my job inspires me. My probably biggest influence in my life for inspiration was my dad. He inspires me a lot. Just people, really.
And beer.
I do love a good beer. Our problem is, talking history, my great granddad was a whiskey distiller, so it's in the blood, mate. So,
Literally. I've had a few people comment on the bullets. Nick West, obviously, his group is military orientated. Wooden bullets are wooden projectiles designed to be fired from a gun. They're intended to be used as non-lethal weapons for crowd control by enforcing pain compliance at a distance. They have been known to raise large welts or bruises on their target. Dave Donaghy says, yours, Dave, could also be a forerunner to the training wax round we used when he was a firearms officer. Kimmy DeBay, I remember Scott finding a bomb timer while we were living in Wales. I had to phone the police with my strong Belfast accent. Didn't go down well on the phone. Thank you, everybody, for that, obviously. Nick, I'll try and remember to take some photographs and put them on your group, and then obviously you'll be able to tell me exactly what's what, if you can, or if somebody else can. As I say, very peculiar, middle of the woods, middle of the field, by a wood, and by a big manor house. So very profound. I think it was actually, if I remember, where we were detecting in front of the manor house. It's obviously fenced off now, but there was tree lines. So you had trees either side of what would have been the road, which is now grass, and it was actually found in the middle, right in the middle, both of them, right in the middle of that area between the trees. So, and the other thing I've got to do as well, I've got several boxes full of both metal detecting finds. My brother, whenever he does buying and selling, he's got an antique place, so he buys and sells antiques now. But whenever he gets foreign coins, he gives them me. I tell you what, I've got hundreds. I've got a full Vatican display case with all the Vatican coins in, all sorts. So I'm going to sit down and sort all them out in the coming days. Because Have
you ever been to the Vatican, Dave?
I've not, mate. I've not been to Italy. It's going to Rome, to the Colosseum, to the Vatican.
It's unbelievable.
Something I'd love to do. I've got
unreal.
so many historic things on my bucket list, but not enough time and not enough money.
You got to do it
in the near future. Fly catching. So what's next, pal? Hopefully, as soon as we're given the more or less go ahead to go and play out, straight out with the new
I'm hoping
machine.
I'm hoping that the Rodney Cook dig will still go ahead. I've got a ticket for that. Just get out and see everyone. We'll probably first, as soon as we're allowed to have a group dig, no one will do any detecting. We'll all just be chatting and that, won't we? So,
probably will. I'm just looking for a group on 4th of June. Scotty B will be coming on. He'll be giving an update on Detectorcon. Now, obviously, Detectorcon, I think, was set for July. With Detectable, the summer Detectable being postponed.
September.
They're definitely making their final decision on the 1st of June. So we'll all know, and Scotty will be able to come on and go through everything that's transpired with Detectorcon, if it's on, if it's not. So, and obviously ourselves, myself and Luke, or myself, and obviously because Luke, I'm sure, if we're back on working or what have you, I'm sure he'll be so busy, it's untrue. So definitely myself will be up at Detectorcon if it goes ahead. Here hoping. Yes, lovely hat. Thank you. Still waiting for some to be delivered, by the way. Anybody who does have even if you've got a YouTube channel and you've got a hat or what have you, send one over. I'm more than happy to wear it on the show, because basically this is just a bit of a free advertising for sending me a hat. Not got a problem with that. And or even a T-shirt, as you can see tonight, just on the thingy. That's my
Triple XL.
Where is it? There it is. That's my group in Congleton. So Graham Withers, I hope he's watching tonight. I'll be dropping off that pack for you in the coming days when I go to the chemist. I will not knock on the door. I'll just post it through the letterbox. So, Graham, have you got much else to speak about? Anything you want to say or discuss or give mention to?
No, just everyone stay safe. Look forward to seeing you all out in the field soon. That's probably it.
I definitely concur with that. I'm desperate to go out, not even metal detecting. I'm just desperate for a little bit of normality. I'm furloughed still till June, so school teacher and mum and other things at the moment.
Oh, mate.
Do you want some homeschooling? I can help. I'm great at it now.
What's your Ofsted scoring?
Oh, shit. Well, Graham, it's been a pleasure to have you on tonight.
Cheers, mate.
Obviously, you're more than welcome to come back any time. If you'd like to co-host in the future as well, just give us a shout, and we'll sort that out, no problem, myself and Luke. The audio version of this, I'll be stripping it down tomorrow and uploading it to the Big Metal Detecting podcast site. Again, I apologise for not being able to do the Big Metal Detecting radio show currently because of the everyone in the world's on the internet, and we kept on failing when we were trying to do both. So we've gone with this so we could download the file.
I do have one more thing, Dave.
On.
I was saying before, how great, the retailers and the people in the hobby are, but thanks to you and Luke for everything that you guys do. The magazine that you put together and this show, it's great. it gives us something to look forward to, especially at the moment with not a lot to do.
Thank you very much, young man. And it was a case of the magazine itself, orcmdmag.com, was initially launched because I needed something to do because my head was falling off being on long-term sick. So that was just something I wanted to do for friends, and it's ended up the website, orcmdmag.tv, 3 Facebook groups, one with last week we had, I've just got to say, Graeme, last week we've been bimbling along at about 1,800 people for quite some time, going up and down on the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine Facebook page, the one that yourself post to semi-regularly. Yeah. And we had nearly 2,000 new subscribers over 3 days. We're not sure why. We think we know why. We think we know the post that attracted people. But thank you to all new, I'll say subscribers to the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine page. We do try constantly to put as much information as we can, get it over to your ASAP. We've put space ones on. We've put nature on. We've put all sorts on. So thank you for everybody for their feedback, and especially for that, it's nice to hear it actually come from someone's mouth, Graeme. So for myself and Luke's in the background, so I will thank you on his behalf as well.
No worries.
Anyway, again, thanks Graeme Stokes for coming on tonight. Next week we have a research show with Mr. Tony Kaywood of YouTube's TC Detects. He's got a few videos on there already. We'll be looking at LiDAR, we will be looking at genealogy, we'll be looking at old maps, we'll be looking at all sorts, which means I better get my bottom into gear and pull the documents that I want to include in the show together as well. So next week we'll have Tony Kaywood. The following week we have Martin Zero, as discussed earlier. The following week after that, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, we do have 1 or 2 people that I need to contact. One concerning plastic archaeology, which... I've no idea what's what, but I'm sure we'll learn lots more from him when he comes on. And then, as I say, Scotty B on the 4th of June. So thank you all and sundry. Hope you are all keeping well. Please stay safe. Please stay in until such time as somebody says otherwise. That's my personal view. That is my own, not the magazine's. Luke and me have a lot of disagreements, and that's one of them. Thank you, everybody. I'm Dave Sadler. That's Graeme Stokes. Him behind there is Luke Higgins. We are the Archaeology Metal Detecting magazine and the Big Metal Detecting TV and radio show. Thank you all, and good night.
And I went over to show them.
Sorry, it's DJ.
I think this is what